And CTV's Jeremie Charron is standing by with more on this. Jeremie, what more are we learning from this report?
Yeah, look, this was kind of, one more piece in terms of negotiations and something that could be important in negotiations. We've already seen Canada Post praise this report's work and what it outlines, which really it outlines that Canada Post is essentially insolvent. We know that since 2018, Canada Post says it has lost at least $3 billion. It had to take out a $1 billion federal loan to cover its operating expenses this year. Those are all things that Canada Post has laid out in its negotiations with the union and in its struggles to continue to operate. What this report finds is that Canada Post needs to be able to make some significant changes, including, as you've touched on, be able to close some rural post offices, phase out daily door-to-door mail delivery, try and open more community mailboxes when possible. The report also, one of the key findings in the report, or key recommendations, is that Canada Post should also be allowed to hire part-time workers to start offering weekend delivery services, to allow it to be a little more competitive with some other delivery services that many have become so familiar with. And so that has been a key aspect in negotiations with the union, as well as wages. And so both sides, we know the union and Canada Post met with the jobs minister today, Patty Haidju, the new jobs minister. The minister presented the findings of this report and had discussions with both sides. And in a statement today made it clear she feels as though it's important that they reach a deal, and feels that this report lays out all of the necessary tools and recommendations for them to be able to come to an agreement. Again, the key thing here is that come Thursday next week at 12:01, the union will once again be in a strike position. And I think that is something Canadians would like to avoid. Many are thinking back to the situation in November, December, during the holidays, during the strike. That is when the government stepped in. That is what triggered this commission that resulted in this report. But this is yet another tool that both sides will have in negotiations to try and come together and find an agreement prior to Thursday's deadline.
Right, and where do Canada Post talks stand, Jeremie?
Well, I mean, talks were not in a good place prior to the release of this report. Earlier this week, Canada Post said it was pausing negotiations because it felt as though no, real progress or significant progress had been made in talks at the table in recent time. And so they took the position that they were going to take a break from negotiations. That is something the union was not happy with and spoke out against, saying that those were unfair negotiating tactics, if you will. Surely it is a tactic. It is a strategy to do so, to remove yourself from the negotiations temporarily. But the union also had said prior to the release of this report that it expected, after this report was released, that Canada Post, the corporation, would present or would come forward with a new offer, present another offer at the table. So we're looking ahead to some pretty crucial days here through the long weekend and into early next week to kind of see what happens and whether the two sides can, on both sides make concessions and come to an agreement on a deal prior to that Thursday deadline.